So I just wanted to go over a couple of different kinds of blur that you might want to think about using to make things look a bit more interesting. Um, so one's called motion blur and one is just called, well, I'm using fast blur, or you can use Gaussian blur, whichever. So this is the logo that I used from the previous quick tutorial, and I've just done just taken it from where it was. You can download it. So essentially what I've done is I've put a bit of text, a text layer. You can see just my initial J in the middle of the logo, and I'm blurring it in. And then I've got some motion blur happening to animate the pieces out, see that? And then I've just got that fast blur on the text as well. So when you watch the whole thing, it looks like this. And there you have it. So not too complex, but just adds a few more little tools for your toolbox. So simply for the motion blur, all I've got that's happening there is I've got some animation of position, so position animations, so you can see them there. So very fast. If I lock that, you can see that the layer is departing in just a few frames. Do you see that? And to get it to motion blur like that, all you have to do is hit the motion blur flag here. So you see that? So if I take it off, it just looks like an animated, exactly a copy of that shape. If I put the motion blur flag back on, boom, and then I also have to hit this enable motion blur. So if I don't have that, then it doesn't. So very simple, move things quickly and set the motion blur flag on the layer, and you'll start to get that look. And it looks a lot more like broadcast graphics when you do that. So that's one kind of blur, so moving things quickly, motion blur. This kind of blur is just an effect that I've searched up, blur. Fast blur is a very fast one, obviously. It applies quickly. If you have lots of blur going on, it won't slow down your render, things like that. Gaussian blur is a more mathematically correct blur, and also very common. On a decent computer, you probably won't recognize anything getting too slow unless you've got lots of stuff going on. So what I'm doing with that is I'm animating the blurriness. So on my text layer up here, I move up. So I've got an opacity and a blur going on. Alright, so the blurriness here. So there's my fast blur. Oh, and by the way, if you want to view all set keyframes only for a given layer, you select the layer and then you hit the letter U on the keyboard, and it just shows the set keyframes, just the set keyframes, not everything. And you can obviously do it for all layers. If you hold shift and do something like that, you can toggle all set keyframes. So it just makes it easy to line things up nicely to get a good animation happening. Remember, of course, to deselect the layers when you finished doing something like that. Otherwise, all the changes will happen across all layers. So blurriness, I've just set a keyframe on the blurriness function, which is not too hard. Up here, the fast blur is a nice simple one. Hitting the keyframe here allows you to set keyframes. So I'm starting at a very blurred out one and ending on 0 blurriness, and then here going from 0 blurriness to very blurred out, and at the same time I'm doing an opacity fade. And you guys know how to do that.